right, guys, it's February 22nd, 2024. Really happy to have a friend of the show on today. It's Fred Said from Southern California. Fred, happy to have you. Thanks for being with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm stoked to have an awesome conversation with my buddy Sean.
Fred, I know you've got locations all over Southern California. Your teams are crushing it. I just saw some stats, 45 million listed in the first 45 days of this year. We want to get into that a little bit today, but before we do, give us a quick intro. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're doing, and what's happening there in Southern California.
Oh, awesome. Well, thanks for having me. My name is Fred Said. I operate multiple teams. I'm part of Place, and I run 6 locations that encompass San Diego County, Orange County, Los Angeles County, and parts of Riverside County. So we run a team of over 35 people, agents, staff, virtual assistants. I'm personally in production. I do about 2 to 3 sales per month myself while leading and training my team. And we love what we do, and we are prospecting based, which we'll talk about today, meaning we know that in order to get the consistent results, especially from an inventory standpoint in a low inventory market, which it is in SoCal, we have to be on the phone and face to face with consumers on a regular basis. And I'm sure we'll hit that pretty hard today, my friend.
Love that, Fred. So talk to us. I mean, we got a lot of people. We got brand new agents. We've got seasons agents. We got people in high production, and even some that are just really struggling for their first deal. Talk us through your story real quick. How long have you been in real estate, and what's the history behind you and your teams as well?
That's a great question. So I'm 40 years old at the time we're recording this. I started when I was 20, so I've done this half my life. I've been a full-time agent with no other source of income other than commission from sales since April of 2018. So what is that? 16 years. Solo agent
Yep.
from 2008 to 2013. Then I started building a team about 9 years ago, 8 years ago, really. I partnered with Ben Kinney in Place back in 2019, 2020, and just started really growing our organization. And the most important part is that luckily when I partnered with Ben 5+ years ago, he taught me the concept of being prospecting based and how important it is to have your lead generation systems and lead generation pillars dialed in from the beginning. Because when you could do it as a solo
Yeah.
new agent, get one pillar going, then fast forward to today when you have an organization like ours, then everybody can follow suit with the same systems and the same model. So whether you want to, you're a team or you're a solo agent now, or you want to build something, it's easier to build it by yourself to begin with and do it right. So when you want to scale and you want to grow and you want to grow an organization, then it becomes just a lot easier thereafter.
So good. Yeah. And you talk about these different pillars of income. We teased
Yeah,
at the start of this, so we're going to get right into it. But
sure.
we teased 45 million in 45 days. Talk us through, where's
Yeah.
that coming from? Where are you getting 45 million in listings in 45
Yeah,
days?
that's a great question. I mean, I've done this for a long time, and this is the best start we've ever had as far as listings signed and listings taken
Wow.
in the
Yeah.
beginning of the year. And it literally, give or take a couple $100,000 up or down, it was 45 million signed in the first 45 days of the year. And I got asked this a bunch of times. A lot of my friends saw what we did and they're like, how the heck did you do that? At first, honest to God, I thought, oh my gosh, the market's amazing. Here comes a ton of inventory in Southern California. And because I
A
was
lot of
so
headwinds
ingrained,
still. A lot of headwind out
well,
there.
well, here's the crazy. I was just so ingrained in getting the listings and helping my agents get the listings. And out of that 45
Yep.
million, I personally signed like maybe 5 or 8 million. My team took the rest through my direction, leadership, coaching, and partnership. But they did a lot of heavy lifting. Kudos to them. It's all them as well. Key thing is
Yep.
this. The inventory actually is the lowest it's been in like 18 months. So the inventory is lower now than it was the average of last year, which was already crazy low. So I'm like, okay, the market didn't
Amazing.
help us. What the heck happened?
Yep.
So I studied this for a couple of days. I asked my partners, like, what did we do? Obviously, we already do massive activity. That's obviously a given. We do a ton of open houses. We do a ton of cold calls. We do a ton of lead follow-up calls and brevity in our system. That's a given automatically. The one thing we did really well, Sean, in October, November, and December of 2023 is we knew that the vast majority of the homeowners weren't going to list in the holiday season. They were going to list in January, February, March, April,
That's
kind
right.
of a given, right?
Yep.
So instead of waiting for these homeowners to list in the spring and the summer like they typically do, we created urgency with them at the end of 2023, and we already had a ton of people on our pipeline ready to list. We just got them to act a little sooner than they were going to do on their own. And how we did that was through scripts, dialogues, and objection handling. So I know that's one thing you wanted to work on today, so I don't want to put the cart
Definitely.
before the horse. So I'll let you take the lead on that, and I can answer those questions as
Yep.
we keep going.
So open houses, you're out there
Yep.
prospecting, you're out there having conversations. I mean, these are people that want to sell, but we got to have
Yeah.
conversations with them. We got to have conversations with the right people. Sounds like the team's doing a lot of that, right?
Yeah. Correct. So that, because here's the thing. I've been in phone-to-phone sales for 16 consecutive years. I've just done it through real estate, right? And I've been in face-to-face sales for also 16 years, which I also do through real estate, which is listing presentations and buyer presentations. What I realized is that there's two aspects of what we do, ladies and gentlemen. There's lead generation, which is you're generating a lead from the first time. And then there's lead follow-up, which is super common sense. We should all know this, right? We generate brand new leads by doing open houses, by calling our friends, family, past clients to generate referrals, by prospecting, calling FSBOs, expireds, and circle prospecting. And then once we have these leads that we've generated, we put them in our CRM. Our team uses Brivity, and we cultivate those leads by a method called lead follow-up and consistent communication. So when you can understand there's two ways to run your phone-to-phone and face-to-face sales business, you understand what's the best way to generate leads, and then fortune really is in the follow-up. So open houses is a big pillar for us. Outbound prospecting that you and I partner with Land Voice when it comes to FSBO data, expired data, divorce
Yep.
data, circle prospecting data. Without that, we can't do any of the things that we're doing right now, which is critical, right? Um,
Yep.
and we just do it on a consistent basis and a consistent rhythm and a consistent cadence of how we operate each of those lead generation pillars.
All right, so I want to get into it. I want to get into objection handling and even maybe a little bit of lead follow up. But before we do that, tell us percentage wise, where's this business coming from? Is half your business coming from open houses?
Man,
Like,
great
what does that
question.
look like to the
Okay,
group?
so I don't have the exact, and I'm a pretty exact kind of guy, but I can give you general. So this 45 million of inventory specifically, like my team and I will do over 200 million in production this year. But let's just talk about the 45 million in inventory. 25% of them came from something prospecting based. That means, like, to me,
Okay.
open houses is prospecting because we're out there prospecting, and when we do an open
Yep.
house, we're doing circle prospecting around the open house. And then we're doing actual prospecting, circle prospecting, FSBO expired, canceled, etc. So 25%
Yep.
came from a prospecting based source. The other, probably, I would say 40 to 45% came from our past clients, spheres, and referrals. That's about 65,
Love
70%.
that.
The other 25 or
Yep.
30% came from agent referrals that we know nationally that refer us business,
Mm,
and some sort of online source that we have that we subscribe to with different channels that may have a referral fee tied to them, or we just pay for the lead. So that's kind of our
okay.
breakdown, right? Prospecting base about one
Absolutely.
fourth, referral online, inbound 1/4, and the other 50% is database, past client sphere, etc.
So good. And we have to have these pillars. If we're only doing one thing, I mean, remember the agents out there in 08, 9, 10,
Yeah.
11, even 2012, all doing pre foreclosures. That
Yeah.
dries up in 12, 13. Their business dries up overnight. And so having your database, doing the prospecting,
Yeah.
right? And then working your open houses and everything else, we want to have a diverse business that's bringing in business from all sides, right?
100%.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. Very, very cool. And when we're prospecting, I want to be very clear to everybody out there. Honor the DNC. If you see a phone number, it's on the do not call registry. Make sure you're honoring that. We want to make sure we're compliant in every and in all ways. So just want to make sure you as an agent and as a team, you're staying safe and we're having conversations with the right people, right?
Well said.
All right. So objection handling, Fred, that's important to us. There's one other topic we want to kind of get into as well, but let's just talk prospecting in general. I mean, we talked a little bit about mindset. We did that in our last podcast, in our last call. But the objection handling itself, the mindset of
Yeah.
prospecting, of having these conversations, to me, it's important to set my mindset early, right? Like remembering these people want to sell their home. It's about having the right conversation. But for a lot of agents out there, it's also about making sure we know how to handle the objection when they're telling us no, or they're saying we're not interested, or they're going one direction or another. What are some ways that your team is kind of working through that and making sure we're still coming from contribution and helping those homeowners, right?
That's a great question. So, number one, let's talk about mindset. There's two ways you can run your business. And you and I have talked about this in events and on stage and stuff like that together in the past. Number
Yep.
one, you can run a business two different ways. Number one, you can be what's called marketing based and prospecting enhanced. Marketing based means you're spending a ton of money to bring in leads, and then you're enhancing or possibly converting those leads by being prospecting enhanced and then getting on the phone. That's one way. Very, very expensive and not the best numbers on conversion. I know because I was an inbound marketer in 2008 to 2013. The second way is prospecting based. That means your foundational culture, your beliefs, everything about you in business is you are a phone animal. You have to be so good dialed in that you can convert leads from every walk of life. So when you're that good or improving, number one, you're getting better. Number two, you can coach and lead to that and hire to that with your staff and agents and organization. And number three, when you're that good, then you can drop endless amounts of cash because you will have no hesitation on your ability to convert those leads. And then you will get a solid return on investment. So prospecting based versus marketing based, right? I prefer being
Hmm.
prospecting based, which is option two that I took you through. The next thing is as long as you can understand every single human being when it comes to buying any product or selling any product will always have an objection. Here's the reason why. An objection is nothing more than an unanswered question in the mind of a consumer. Let me say that again. An objection is nothing more than an unanswered question in the mind of a consumer. So it's not a bad thing. They just have said no, or I don't know, or what about this? Because they have a question in their mind that hasn't been answered yet. So they're objecting to whatever it is you're talking about. Our job is to make our clients and consumers feel confident in our services because we've addressed their concerns, because we've addressed their questions. So if somebody gives you an objection on the fact that, no, I don't want to list my home or I don't want to sell today, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, it sounds like the reason you want to move today or sell today is there might be a question that I haven't answered for you that if I can answer it, it might make you feel more confident to actually do something sooner than later. What is that question I didn't answer? Fred, I have no idea where I'm going to move. Oh, that's actually huge. And then
It's the
I'll
big one.
chase that rabbit
Yeah.
down that hole, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
understanding the mindset of prospecting base versus marketing base, understanding how simple an objection really is. And it's nothing more than us having to answer whatever unknowns that the consumer has. And then we just carry on the conversation until they're physically ready to do something. Excuse me. And then we do. And then we
Okay.
close.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. And a lot of these objections you're hearing when you're having these conversations over the phone, whether it's with an expired or with someone's going through something tragic in their family, or they just have to relocate, right? You're going to hear some of these same objections, whether it doesn't, right, whether it's a FISBO or an expired or just listed, you're having a lot of these same questions coming up. So let's get into it for a few minutes. Let's maybe what we can do, because you're a master at this, like maybe I can throw a couple objections at you and we can
Yeah.
just give everyone out there listening a couple of things, because you just gave them one, right? There's a real big nugget right there in asking the right question, getting the objection, and turning that back into a question to kind of understand the situation
Yeah.
you're in, right? Is that really the secret to a lot of your objection handling? Is kind of going back into discovering what their real objection is and understanding that?
Yes. Well, I would say it's this. Number one, I know that it takes a lot of time on task over time to get really good at phone prospecting or just being on the phone and selling anything in general. I mean, I was a
Yep.
super timid person 15, 16 years ago. I was scared to pick up the phone. I couldn't handle an objection. And my first couple of years in the business royally sucked as a result of it because I wasn't committed to becoming better and better. Then when I realized, wow, if I just make more calls and spend more time in a couple of years, I think I'm going to get really good, which means I'm going to sell more houses. So I think it's worth the investment of time. The second thing is that yes, when I understand the technicality of being a student of phone to phone conversations and face to face conversations, which I have over the past decade, it's helped me. So, for example, not getting too much into what's called NLP, neuro linguistic programming, but the basics of what you have to know is, for example, if you're having a phone conversation with somebody and they say, you know what, I'm not sure where I want to move, you don't automatically go into, okay, great, da 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 da, and then you go into your next thing and you sell, 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 question, question, question. No, you repeat and affirm. So it sounds like, John, you don't know where you want to go. That's a concern. Would you agree? Yes. Let's talk about that. So when I repeat and affirm in a phone conversation, number one, it shows them directly and subjectively that I'm listening to them, which means
Yep.
they lower their resistance of what they are over the phone and they go heart to heart with me and want to have an authentic conversation. that drastically increased my conversion. Then when it comes to mimic and matching their tonality, their body language, their rate of speech, and getting better at that, that's also helped my phone to phone and my face to face conversions and getting people to want to work with me and agree to exclusively sign an agreement and want to work with me and my team. So all of that goes into it. You just have to be a student of the game. And if you can be a student in the game and want to learn, naturally over time, you'll get better and better and better, which means that you'll naturally net more money over and over again for every hour that you work.
It's a long-term play. Malcolm Gladwell and Outliers will say it's the 10,000 hour rule, right?
Yeah.
But we also can't be afraid of failure. Great book that I love called The Sales Edge talks a lot about in order to double your success, or in order to increase your success, is what they say, you need to be willing to double your failure rate. And so sometimes we can look at failure and just kind of dive into it, or lean into it, I should say, and say, okay, listen, I got 20 no's yesterday. How do I kind of have more communication, more conversations to keep practicing, like you're saying, but then to also just kind of learn from every day and kind of growing from what you're saying. So it's a step-by-step process, but you got better at it every day, didn't you?
Right. Still getting better.
Yeah. Yeah, every day. So let's just do one real quick, if you don't mind. I'm a FISBO. You're calling me. You go through, your quick introduction, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's helpful. Do you mind sharing with the group what you're saying to an expired, or to a FISBO, or to someone you're calling?
Okay, let's do FISBO since you brought that up. Ring, ring.
Yeah.
Hi, can I?
Hello.
Oh, hi. Is this Sean?
This is.
Oh, hi, Sean. My name is Fred. I'm a local broker and agent here in the area, and I saw your home on 123 Elm Street, and I noticed it's on the market for sale, and you're selling it yourself. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Trying to
Okay,
sell it and list
perfect.
it on our own.
No,
Yep.
I appreciate that and respect the fact that you're going after it. I love the aggressiveness. And let me ask you this: is it still available, or did you already sell it?
No, we haven't sold it yet. It's available.
It's available for sale. Perfect. And I have a question for you. We've helped a lot of for sale by owners just like you in this area sell their homes. And is the commission the main reason why you decided to list a home on your own rather than work with a top producing agent like myself?
Gosh, yeah, actually, it really is. It's the commission.
It's the commission. No, that's fair. And are you currently offering a commission to a buyer's agent if they bought you a buyer?
I'm not, but it's probably something I might have to look at.
No, that's completely fair. And once you sell this home, where are you moving to next?
Yeah, I'm trying to get to Nevada, so I'm going out of state.
So you're doing a relocation. What takes you over there?
Yeah, yeah, just a new job, new opportunity.
Got it. And did you start that job already?
Not yet, but I am starting it in less than 2 weeks.
Wow, you're starting in less than 2 weeks. So it sounds like you really got to get there, right?
Man, I do. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. The
that's
time is
fair.
of the essence right now. Yep.
Time is of the essence. You're 100% right, Sean. I completely understand that you want to net the most amount of money, which is it sounds like why you're selling it yourself. Sean, if there was a way, and I'm not saying there is, if there was a hypothetical way where I can work with you exclusively, I can sell your home, I can net you more money, net, even after any commissions paid by working with me, would you consider what that plan would look like?
Gosh, it sounds attractive over the phone, but how do I do that? How do I net more and still pay you your percentage?
That's a great question. I mean, I have a basic system in place, and we sell a ton of homes. Right, we're known for getting top dollar and providing a level of service and getting it done in a quick amount of time. What all I want to do is I want to come check your property out. I want to get an idea of what I actually think it could sell for, and in about 15 to 25 minutes, I can actually show you everything we've done for homeowners just like you. And at the end of it, one of two things are going to happen. You're going to say, you know what, this is not for me. And if that's the case, I'll shake your hand and I'll never bother you again. Or the second thing might be, wow, this actually can work. Let's give it a shot. And I'm going to get hired by you and I'm going to sell your house and get you to Nevada in the next 30 to 45 days with a nice deposit in your bank account. So I got time tomorrow at 4, tomorrow at 6. What works better for you?
Man, I didn't want to meet with any of you guys, but yeah, I can do 4.
Perfect.
Let's do
Like I
that.
said, you got nothing to lose. Worst case, you get a ton of value from a top producing broker. You use my value and you still sell the home yourself. Best case, we get to work together and build a relationship. So 4 o'clock's perfect. I'll see you tomorrow and we'll go from there.
Beautiful. Okay, let's do it, Fred. The part I said beautiful about, Fred, is it's so natural and organic for you. And I think
Yeah.
that the real key for people out there listening is you're listening you're validating and you're restating all the things that I said, right? Like
Right.
that's where it really gets into a kind of a human conversation rather than a sales call.
It's a natural flow. Really is. And
I, I think
I was
I think validating and restating gives you another couple of seconds also to think about your next conversation or what you want to ask the homeowner next as well, right?
100%. It's like we all know brushing our teeth is something that we do out of habit. Sometimes, and some of the people listening to this or watching this online somewhere later can relate when you're driving from your home, driving to your office, right? And after 10 minutes, you're like, hold on a second. How in the world did I just get from that location to this location? Because I don't even remember it because it came out of habit, right? Sean, you've been there. I think that happened to me this morning on the freeway. Yet that's when you do this enough and you commit to enough. Like I was literally talking to you right now. I kid you not, as bad as this might sound. I was literally talking to you right now in that role play, and I was thinking about my next appointment later today. I'm not kidding. Because this is such
Yeah.
a habit for me that
Yep.
I can naturally have this conversation and convert, and I could be thinking about something else. That's crazy to think, but I do it so often. I've done it for so long that when you can
Yep.
get that good, ladies and gentlemen, that you can do what I just honestly confess that I did, right? You will become literally a lean, mean listing appointment setting machine. It's going to change your life. You have to commit to making the calls, having systems, doing it for years, then one day, my goodness, you're going to be able to outpace and outcompete with anybody in your market.
So good, Fred. And you've just listed 10 to 12 to 15 million in the first 45 days through prospecting and having crucial conversations with homeowners in your area. So we know it works. We know it's important to have those conversations. I know we're getting short on time. We talked through some objections real quick. The other thing I'd like everybody out there to really understand is lead follow up. Now, we
Yeah.
could probably spend an hour together on lead follow up, but give us two, three tips. Like, is your team doing with lead follow up? What are some of the standard practices and things they do throughout the week to ensure that they're doing more than just calling one time? Right.
So, being a part of our team, that's a great question. Being a part of our team or being a business partner of mine, we have standards that are in place. There's three major metrics that we follow, of which anybody in this call can follow. Number one, our partners do at least 2 open houses per week. Number two, they do at least 350 cold calls per week, dials. Number three, they do at least 40 conversations in lead follow-up in Brivity, talking to past clients, old leads, follow-up, etc. Conversations, not dials in Brivity,
Database.
right? So 2
Okay.
open houses per
Yep.
week, 350 cold calls per week, and 40 conversations in the system. Lead follow-up is within Brivity, we call it. It's so important. We have to understand that you can't just generate a lead expired last week, open house last week, and then call them one time and think you're going to close for the appointment. Sometimes it'll happen. Yet people don't always pick up their phone. We all know that. So you got to call a lead. Like if you did an open house on Sunday, you got to call that lead 5 or 9 times in the following week to get a hold of them. So you have to be really aggressive, and I call it ferocious follow up, not lead follow up, ferocious follow up. I was doing a training earlier for Place, our company, and one of the newer agents, God bless him, asked me, he said, listen, I generated 8 leads at open houses in the past week. I called all 8 leads once, and nobody called me back, and I'm discouraged. I said, that's natural. I said, it's natural. I said, what you need to do is call them 5 or 9 times. And he's like, if I do that, they're going to get mad at me because I'm too aggressive. I said, well, some of them will, but here's the options that you have with follow up. Number one, you could be passive at lead follow up. And if you're passive and barely call anybody multiple times and think they're going to call you back, you're mistaken. But let's say you do passive follow up. Out of 10 opportunities, only you'll get 2. The 8 will never be able to work with you because somebody else more aggressive like me stole them from you. Option
Yeah, big
2 is you're
conversation.
the
Yeah.
Exactly. Option 2 is you're the aggressive type that you follow up respectfully, but ferociously and consistently. And out of those 10 people, 8 will work with you because you got a hold of them. 2 won't want to work with you because they think that you're too aggressive. Now, would you rather have 8 opportunities or 2 opportunities? I would say 8. So being more aggressive will serve you and serve your family. That's why I coach to be ferocious in lead follow up, consistent in lead follow up, dedicated in lead follow up, and understand the concept of fortune is in the follow up is legit and not some BS statement that's out there.
You just nailed it. The success is in the follow up, and the stats show us it takes 7, 8, 9 of those follow ups to have that crucial conversation we're looking for. So, scripting and overcoming objections are so important, but the majority of our industry, Fred, stops at 1 and 2 follow ups on a lead, when really it's in that 8th and 9th call before a lot of that's even happening or taking place, right?
Yep, 100%.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's remember those things. Let's remember the objection handling. More importantly, let's remember the lead follow-up of this call today. Fred, congratulations on all the success this year. It's not an easy year out there, but you're doing the right things, having the right processes in place. And kudos to you and your team there in Southern California. I really appreciate your time today and taking a few minutes with us.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate your partnership and support and everything you help us with.
Absolutely. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon, and hope to see everybody in our next one.